What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. I know I said I was going to do like a Take You Back Tuesday episode and play an old episode, but then some things transpired this week that I was just like, hey, I need to jump on the mic and talk about that. So it's going to be a lot of babbling, mostly just talking about like TV shows, music that I have been sitting on that I feel like I need to put my opinion out in the world on. Also, how I finally decided on getting a water softener and water filtration system in my house. And then just some really nice stories to make you believe in humanity again, if you will. So yeah, if you're into that sort of thing, stay tuned. This will be a babbling episode per usual, guys. All right, guys. Welcome back. I know I said I was going to take a break, but I just wanted to show up and actually talk about some things happening over here at the house that are kind of somewhat interesting to me, but also I feel like should be talked about when it comes to just people being genuinely nice. So you all probably know by now, I mentioned on the podcast that I've been doing some like home renovations, doing some things around the house, just small things that I'm able to do myself, like painting, changing hardware in the house, like the hinges, cabinet doorknobs, actual doorknobs from silver to black, because that's just what's popular right now. And that's what I'm into. So changing all the hardware from silver to black, just small things, nothing like too crazy. Obviously, some things I have to hire out for help. Well, you don't have to, but like I'm not painting. Painting is hard for it to look good. I know there's some people out there that are like, I'm not paying for painting. I'm going to do it myself, and go you if that is you. I try to paint like one wall. I know I painted my mantle and I was like, this shit ain't for me. It ain't for me. That's why there's people that do this for a living. It is not for me. It's a hard job. Anyways, but like changing hardware, like on cabinets and doors and things like that, I feel like I can do that. I feel like it's a pretty simple task. I mean, maybe it's not simple, but my stepdad didn't raise no bitch over here. Like he taught me how to use a screwdriver, a hammer, things that I should be able to do. Now, we're going to get into how I messed that up. Well, so when I hired someone to paint like the guest bedrooms and my master bedroom, he was so gracious and kind, and he said that he would change out all the doorknobs and the hinges once he was done painting for me for free. So I was like, oh, that's so nice. Yes. Well, then in the main part of the house, like I had decided that I wasn't going to paint the rest of the house for that moment, even though I think I've decided I might always be changing my mind over here. Who could be too sure? But I was like, I need to go ahead and change the rest of this hardware out because I just don't like things not matching. My OCD is kicking in. I really just want these silver hinges and doorknobs to now be black. So got all the doors changed, mostly interior doors, and then 2 exterior doors. So I have 3 exterior doors to my house, and I had one left to change. It was the one that was like off by itself down a hallway. It's an exterior door from the garage to the house. And I just needed to change the hinges and the doorknob. I was like, okay, I'll eventually get to it. So I decided to do that. And all my other doors, like I said, have the same hinges, and they all looked good. They worked great. Like there was no issue switching the hinges. But for whatever reason, this one particular door was just giving me a fit. Like it was not flush to the wall. There was a gap at the top. You could see like when you looked back, like how it was very tight on one side of the door and then just had a gap on the other side of the door. And I was just like, what the hell? What did I do? Call my stepdad. He's like, I don't know. I have to like be there to diagnose it. He was like, you might just need to like put some shims in or something like that. I'm like, what? Like now we're talking about something a little bit too much that I can't do, which I will say I did take the shims off the door. So that's probably what it was. Who knows? And it's very possible that the gap was already there. I just never noticed it because why would I be looking up at a tall door looking to see if there's any gaps in there if you're not messing with it? But since I was messing with it and changing the hinges and like shutting the door, closing it to see if it was closing or not. So my biggest thing was like, it's not a huge deal. Like it's not even that noticeable, but I am terrified of spiders. Mostly because I was bit by a spider when I was younger, which then developed into an abscess, and I had to go have my leg cut open from the doctor, which was very painful and very traumatic. And I remember it. So now I'm like deathly afraid of spiders. It is like literally one of my biggest fears. So I was like, spiders can get through this crack. And it wasn't like as big of a deal because like I said, it was going to the garage. So it wasn't like a safety issue or anything like that. It was more of just my fear of spiders that I didn't want them coming in the house. So like when I moved in the house, like, cause I have a woodland home, when I moved into the house, they gave us like an emergency contact sheet. Like if these things ever happen, here's who you can call, here's who put your countertops in, things like that you would need to know if something ever happened. So, there was an emergency contact on there for like locks, like if you can't lock your door or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe these people will know because it is about the door. I know it's not exactly about hinges. So I called the lock person, quote unquote lock person, that was on that emergency sheet. And luckily for me, it was the same guy who came out to help fix my shower door that I obviously messed up as well. I honestly don't know if I told the story on the podcast about my shower door. But if I haven't, to make a long story, or if I have, sorry, to make a long story short, I have like one of those floating glass shower doors. I think that's what they call them. I'm not 100% sure. They're just like glass on three of the wall. Like it's like it's like a square glass door. And once again, I was trying to change out the hardware. Like my stepdad came down and changed out the faucets from silver to black. So then I was changing out like the door handle from silver to black. And then I was like, well, these hinges need to be changed as well. And I went to take the screwdriver to unscrew the hinge to like change out the hinges because I went and bought hinges for it and everything. And I was like, how hard could this be? Nope. As soon as I even tried to turn the screwdriver, it shattered into like a million pieces everywhere. And I'm sure you can guess, I was not wearing shoes. I was barefoot trying to do this. Why? I don't know. Because not in a million years did I think that this glass door was going to shatter into a million pieces just from me trying to take off the hinge. Like it didn't fall. It didn't hit the ground. Like I could have understood if like it fell, hit the ground, but it didn't. It just shattered. But anyways, where was I going with that? Oh, well, that was obviously another traumatic experience because I'm sitting there. Yes, I got cut a little bit, not bad enough for like it to be anything where I needed stitches or anything. But I was stuck in the middle of this shower with glass all around me, nowhere to go. I had to step on the glass to get out of it. Looking back, it's hilarious, but it was a hot mess at the time. But anyways, I contacted Woodland. I was like, I don't even know where to begin to fix this. And he gave me this guy Chris's number from Innovative Accents here in Huntsville because they're the ones who installed the shower doors to come out since they were the one to install them. So like he came out, he was so nice. He was just like, he asked me what happened. I told him the whole story, and he was nice enough to go ahead and like change out the whole trim of the encasing from silver to black, which that was the only thing I didn't know how I was going to be able to change anyway. So going back to everything happens for a reason. And he changed out the hinges and everything for me. Obviously I paid for the shower door, but he was just very, very nice. Like he did not have to take the shower door apart to change out the encasing and everything, but he did. So I know that was a long story, but fortunately for me, the quote unquote lock guy was the same guy who fixed the shower, which I had no idea until I tried to call this number and I was like, oh, I already have this contact in my phone. Interesting. And so he came out to look at the door and he was like, well, we typically only handle locks, but I could obviously look at it and tell you if it's something that you need to call somebody. Do you need a new door? Because we deal with the locks on the door anyway, so I'm pretty used to it. And so he came out and he like helped me diagnose it and was like, no, I think you definitely need like some shims or something in here. It should be an easy fix. Don't let them try to talk you into buying a door. And then while he was here, he was like, is there anything else since I'm here I can just help you with? And I was like, well, actually, all my exterior doors, I have to pick them up to lock them. And that's kind of annoying. So do you think you could help me with that? So he didn't even charge me anything. Such a nice man. And I just thought that story should be told because it's very hard to find genuine people in this world that literally are not like, number one, out to get money or anything like that. But he was just being so kind and just so genuinely nice that he would just go out of his way to help me when he didn't have to. And I literally was like, wow, this kind of restores my faith in humanity, because after years of working in the ER, you've heard me all talk about this, I just have become this person like, no, nice things don't happen to people. Like, what are you talking about? So I just thought that story should be told. But anyways, I did get a hold of another company who came out to help me fix the hinges on the door. So everything is all fixed now. Just a little bitty gap left at the top, nothing terrible. A weather strip was placed there, so hopefully no spiders can come in. But he was also just very nice. So he came out Friday to help me fix the hinges or whatnot. And then I forgot to he asked me if everything looked good. And I was like, yeah, it looks great, because now the door was flush, but I didn't go in the garage to look and make sure you couldn't see the light. And that was on me. That was my bad, because he asked me if everything looked okay. And I didn't mention to him, the inside of the garage was the biggest problem where I saw the gap. And so after he left, I texted him. I said, hey, I am so sorry. I said, I can still see this gap on the inside. So he actually came back out today for free, helped me out. So I was just like, wow, two nice people in this world. What are the odds? So maybe I should start believing in humanity again. But just to go, I just want to say, if y'all ever need any shower door situation, locks fixed on your house, highly recommend Chris at Innovative Accents. And then if you need someone to help correct a door, whether it be a gap, whatever you need done with a door to your house, I recommend Jared Smallwood. I believe that's his business name, just his name. So I recommend both of those in town. You can always reach out to me and I'll give you their contacts. They're both genuinely nice people who literally just helped out and were so genuinely nice, didn't overcharge, didn't upcharge, didn't try to sell me something I didn't need. Anyways, so moving on, switching gears, I had put a poll up on my Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I put a poll up about water softeners and home house filtration systems. I've been looking at these for a long time. And with my indecisiveness, I just can't ever decide on brands or what are you supposed to do? So that's why I took it to Instagram for a poll. And everyone who voted said that they did love their water softener. But then people would DM me saying hey, just so you know, if you get this water softener, just know that you may feel quote unquote slimy when you get out of the shower. And I'm like, what? Slimy? Okay, that's weird. So I was like, what does that mean? But I did finally eventually decide on getting a Culligan system. So I got the home water filtration system, reverse osmosis, and the water softener. And so when they came, they were just trying to give me the lowdown on it and everything. And was just if you've never had a water softener before, then do expect to use less soap, things like that. And they were saying mostly because with the soft water, it's going to feel like soap is still on you. So so I was like, oh, okay, let me put two and two together here. And so I've now had the water softener and the filtration system with the reverse osmosis for about a week now. And I will say, I wouldn't say quote unquote slimy feeling when you get out of the shower. I feel like it's more of a feeling soap isn't rinsed off of you. You're I know I put soap on, is it off? So it feels like you still have soap on, but you just have to know that you've rinsed the soap off. It's obviously off. So you're not just standing there for forever thinking soap is on you. But the benefits have been for the water softener and the in-house filtration system is that it does get rid of contaminants such as chlorine in house water. And then the reverse osmosis system gets rid of so many more things like prescription medications, pesticides. But with that, you just have to know that it's also getting rid of things that you do need, like trace minerals in your water. So it's getting rid of magnesium, sodium, potassium, calcium. Those things are still in your water that you need. But I've done a little research on that, and it's easy to put trace minerals back into your water. They actually sell I think it's actually called trace minerals. Or you can just get Celtic sea salt that has 17 trace minerals, tablespoon of that into your water, mix it in. And that's if you get the reverse osmosis system, because the reverse osmosis system is the one that's taking out all contaminants because it's just filtering it so much more. And guys, I'm not scientific on this. I'm just going off the research that I've done and been told about it. But the reason I just wanted to do this is because, again, I've mentioned on here before, my autoimmune system, I'm trying to get rid of as many like stressors on the body, which is contamination. And there's just so many contaminated things in the world. Like we can't avoid it all. So where we can avoid it, I'm just trying to do that. I also have been struggling, like my hair lately has just been super oily, which could be several things, right? It could be hormones, it could be thyroid, it could be products you're using, product buildup, scalp health, all the things. But like when I was researching like oily hair and stuff, that was one of the things that just kept popping up is hard water, because hard water has calcium in it. So that's how it works. Like you have a salt resin, so then you're just doing an ion exchange where you're exchanging one ion for the other. And so the calcium is what makes that like water hard, and you get like calcium scale buildup on your shower doors. That's what you're seeing when you're seeing like hard water spots and things like that. So to make it soft, you have to do the ion exchange. And that was one of the things in my research that I found, was that if you are having like an oily scalp, it could be your water, like causing a lot of scalp buildup and things like that. So I will say I've washed my hair once since having it. I haven't had it quite a week yet, but I've washed my hair once. And typically when I wash my hair, the next day it's already kind of getting oily. Like if I don't sleep in dry shampoo that night. I will say my hair, when I got out, was so soft after blow drying it. I was like, oh, okay. And then I woke up the next morning and it literally felt like I had just washed it. So I'm only on day 2 of that. So I will keep y'all updated on if it's actually helping with the issues. Like obviously there's other things that you have to be aware of, like products and all that stuff. But I just wanted to throw that in there. That's one of the main reasons. But there's also more benefits. Like you're supposed to be able to use less soap. You use less shampoo, less laundry detergent. And I will say I did laundry this weekend and doing like my sheets and all that stuff, like in my clothes, they were definitely softer, and I used way less laundry detergent because he told me like if you fill this cap up, you are going to open this up and you're still going to have soap because like you need the hard water to get it out. Other things about it. So in my research, I was looking, so since you're doing the ion exchange from calcium to sodium, some people say that that's why you should get the reverse osmosis for the drinking water, because now you're having all this sodium in your water. And sodium obviously is good in a certain amount, but like it's not good for certain populations. Like as we get older, or maybe you have cardiovascular disease, like you don't want to have a lot of sodium because it can cause water retention and things like that you just don't need if you're having cardiovascular health or we're getting older and things like that. So I was like, okay, that's the main reason why I got the reverse osmosis. But then after doing more research, it's like, there's just an opinion out there for everything, right? Like that's why they say opinions are like assholes, but then because everyone has one, but there is some truth to obviously this with science and stuff. But then, there's so many pros and cons going back to like, once you get the reverse osmosis, you then have to add trace minerals back because then you're taking out the sodium and it's just a lot. So if you're thinking about getting one of those systems, just know all that, do your research. Like I'm clearly not the best at explaining this. I just was doing what I had wanted to do for a while just because of the contamination factors, my hair, things like that. Oh, and they say, which I don't suffer from eczema or psoriasis or like skin issues like that. But they say like hard water actually exacerbates those things, which makes sense because eczema is something where your skin is just very dry. And so if your hard water is drying it out even more, then the water softener would help, which I have talked to some people that have eczema and say that they have a water softener and it literally was like night and day to them. I have another friend who has psoriasis who said that he's putting in a water softener just because he's heard the same thing. Now, again, I cannot speak from personal experience, just from what I've talked to other people and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool, which I know that like a lot of us suffer from drier skin in the summer. Obviously it's hot, it's dry, everything's dry, but then you get out of the shower. I don't know about y'all, but I get out of the shower, my skin's dry. Even after I put lotion on, it's still dry. I will say that also has changed within this almost week of having this water softener. My skin almost feels like I have lotion on it when I get out. So that's pretty cool. Then I also don't have very dry skin after I put on lotion. My skin just feels softer. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's not even been a week yet. So I will keep y'all updated on that if you've been thinking about that or done research or whatever. So enough about the house. I did want to talk about some music and TV shows that I've been really digging lately, since all I really do these days is sit on the couch and be boring. But I honestly like being boring now. Like, I know I had done the podcast with me and you on feeling meh and just feeling out of sorts, but I'm starting to learn to embrace it and just let the emotions come, let myself go through whatever I need to go through, and realize that I don't have to be on go all the time. Like, I can sit down, I can relax, I can do those things. So I'll start with the music first. I am a little late to the game on discussing this because I feel like everyone is discussing this already. But I am really digging the Chris Brown's 11:11 album, and I will be so shocked if my Spotify, my year in review at the end of the year, does not tell me that I played his album the most and he was the artist I listened to the most, because if it doesn't, I will be shocked. But even if you're not a Chris Brown fan, like, I understand that some people don't like him just because of the whole situation that went down with Rihanna, where he physically abused her. Now, do not get me wrong. I'm not saying what happened in their relationship was right. No man should ever put his hands on a woman. Also, women shouldn't put their hands on a man. Like, there's just like, physical abuse goes both ways, and we just shouldn't do it. Use our words, but don't cut people down. Communicate. That's all I'll say about that. I'm not getting on a soapbox there. I'm just saying that I can understand how he could be controversial just because of the allegations and the physical abuse, but we won't even get into that. I'm mostly just talking about his music because I do like his music. And also, let's just normalize liking things that we want to like without having to get all involved with their personal behavior. How about that? But with that being said, that was when he was 20 years old, which I'm not trying to make an excuse for him, but like, it happened in 2009. He pled guilty. He apologized. And so far, we have not seen another incident of any physical abuse from Chris Brown that I am aware of anyways, but I also don't follow the news like that unless it's on like social media, and then it's all over the place, and then we see about it, hear about it, all the things. So regardless on whatever your take is, it seems like he's learned his lesson. Again, who could be too sure? I clearly am not the celebrity police over here, but regardless, this is not a like free Chris Brown speech. This is just saying, like, I actually like his music, and I am a huge proponent on forgiving people, allowing people to make their mistakes and learn from them. Now, if people obviously aren't learning from their mistakes, then that's when you can form an opinion or a judgment or whatever you have. But if someone is really trying to honor their mistakes, I do think that people should be given second chances, third chances, whatever. Because at the end of the day, we have all made mistakes. We are all human. Some of these mistakes that even I've made in my life, like, I don't know about y'all, but I have sometimes been like, oh, if I just had a time machine, I could fix this. Like, I would have never said that. I would have never done that. I would, and so the same thing goes true for a celebrity, if you will. Like, they're still humans at the end of the day. Sure, do they have a higher platform where they should do better as examples? Sure, but we're all still... Anyways, that's all I'm going to say on that. So if you are a Chris Brown fan, that his new album 11:11 did drop back in November of 2023. And I'm going to be perfectly honest, I had no idea he had another album until February of this year, until my friend told me he had another album. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why is this not showing up on my Spotify? Because I'm a huge Chris Brown fan. I love his music. I've listened to him since he came out with Run It. Like, love him. But he just dropped the deluxe version of this album that in April of this year. So honestly, guys, like, it's a banger. I can actually say I'm a TikToker now. Like, before, I always told y'all, like, I don't really understand TikTok. Like, I get on it for research. But now, since I've been in my boring stage, sitting on the couch, I have been scrolling TikTok more. And my algorithm is all about Chris Brown. I'm assuming because I've been looking up like his songs. Like, I love watching like people do dance versions and things like that to it. So I've been looking up that. So now my algorithm is just full of Chris Brown music and dancing and things like that. And it's funny because on this new deluxe album, there's two songs in particular, Delusional and Residuals, that people on TikTok are going crazy about. And it's kind of funny watching because they're just like, how's Chris Brown going to go and do this to us when you thought you were getting over a relationship, and then he drops these lyrics, and it's basically about relationships endings or having a hard time moving on from a relationship. So I just thought that was funny. Like, if you definitely listen to those too if you're having a hard time going through relationships, or maybe don't listen to those if you're having a hard time going through an ending to your relationship, because it might put you back in your feels. I don't know. If you think you've moved on, maybe don't listen to them. If you think that you need help moving on, I don't know that these songs will help. Who could be too sure? But it's almost like, damn, Chris, like who broke your heart? Like who broke your heart? Or were you just sitting on this and it's from old experiences? That's when I listen to music, sometimes I'm like, what did this artist go through to have to like get this song? Or is it just that they know that other people go through it? So it's like, let me just write something that could be a hit for everyone. Who could be too sure? I don't know. But I don't know. I really, really am loving Delusional right now. Number one, it's got a good beat, and like the lyrics he just says in it is just like, damn, that like hit homes. And I'm going to pull up some of the lyrics here in a minute just to go over a few, just to like show y'all like how lyrically of a genius he is. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, music just sometimes can just say what I have been thinking when I can't find the words, when I'm just like, I'm feeling a certain way, I don't know how to express it, and then boom, a song comes on. I would say the radio, but I listen to Spotify now. A song comes on and you're just like, that's what I've been trying to say. Like, how did they know? Clearly, I don't know. But anyways, honestly, all the songs are bangers. Can't say that there is one that I honestly don't like. All of them are really good, but really do love Delusional. So I am going to pull up those lyrics real quick. So who can relate to this? Okay. I've never been like in a quote unquote long relationship, but I've been, you know, in what I would consider a relationship for me with guys, and like, just anyways, just listen. So the first verse is, how did we turn this house we live in into a prison? Guess you wish you never fell in love with me. Don't know how we got to not sharing the kitchen. Sometimes I wish that we didn't fall too deep. So it's like, okay, that's true. Like, how many people can sit there and say, like, how did this house that we live in turn into this prison where I don't want to come home? I don't want to see that other person and things like that. Like, how did we get there? So then the pre-chorus goes, neither side wants to take an L and be the one to blame. Sometimes it's my fault. Somehow it's my fault. No problem. In your eyes, I can see you think that we will never change. Which this to me was like gold, because it's like, that is so true. We constantly are like, I don't want to take an L in this. I don't want to be the one to blame. And then the other person's thinking, you know what? It is my fault. Whatever. No problem. Because you're kind of saying it sarcastically. Like, I'll take the hit on this one. Whatever. So love that. And then the chorus, obviously, baby, maybe we was just delusional, too ambitious, no consistency. In the end, we were two fools in love. When we fell, it was a free fall, baby. We was just delusional. We came an hour late. Our time has been delayed. Baby, we delusional. So the chorus to me almost feels like that situationship that almost everyone on this earth has probably been through. And if you haven't, lucky you. But it's like, were we just delusional? Like, we were ambitious, but we didn't have consistency here. Like, how many times have you been in a relationship where you're just so ambitious to like meet this person, to get to know this person, but then there's no follow through, there's no consistency, but we're addicted to that, like that feeling, that thought of being in love with them. But then he talks about, like, in the end, they were just two fools in love, because love does make you do foolish things. And then when we fell, it was a free fall, baby. Like, we just went in, we went hard, we went fast. Maybe we are just delusional. So I was just like, damn, love that. And then one other verse I'm going to read to you goes, we can manage our emotions for a minute before you start subbing me on your IG. How is it I'm still the same but treated different? I'm still that same person you see on my ID. We lose sleep arguing. Worst part about it is you never went to bed without me, and now you always want to be alone. Which, so much truth in this, right? Like, you're in a relationship, situationship, whatever it is, and we all get on social media now, pretend we're doing great, pretend we're doing fine, when maybe we are, maybe we aren't. Who could be too sure? Like, that's each individual's own situation that they're going through. But then it's like you had this relationship with this person, no matter how long it was, whether it be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it may be. And it's like you all of a sudden just forget who they are. and act like you no longer know this person. But in some cases, I get that. Like maybe you no longer know this person because y'all grew apart, or you're looking at them and you're just like, I really don't know you. But in this situation, obviously I didn't write this song and I don't know what he means. But the way I'm taking it and the way I'm internalizing it is like, things were so great. We ended things, but now you're treating me like I'm a whole different person when I'm still me. I'm still who you fell in love with. That could be a lot said there. Like I said, people change, people grow apart. Some people think that they haven't changed when they have, or maybe they haven't changed and that is the problem. So many things we could dissect there. But then the one last thing that I want to read to you is there is a bridge at the end that I absolutely love. Part of me was just letting you just play with my mind, while the other had me thinking that you just needed time. Probably circled back so much we kept on pressing rewind, and I need you to only be mine. So again, reminds me just of a situationship where it's like part of you thinks like they're just playing with my mind. The other part is like, well, maybe they're not. Maybe they just really just need space. They need time to figure out their feelings. Like, which one is it? And you have that struggle in your head, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you're like listening to your friend's advice, listening to strangers' advice, going to therapy and talking about it. And there's all these opinions. And that's what I was trying to like relay on the podcast last week. There's all these opinions and like you're struggling internally with this conflict of what is the truth? And only that other person knows the truth. Like you could sit there all day long, like where they talk about like needing closure and things like that. You could sit there all day long and come up with scenarios in your head. And that's what me and you talked about is they're just scenarios. They're just stories. They're quote unquote delusions that we make up in our head about what actually is happening when the other person is the only other person that actually knows how they truly felt and what they were truly intending to do and what their intentions were. Like, we're never going to know unless that person sat down and said, like, full honest conversation, like, these were my intentions with you. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry it had to go this way. Like, whether it be something we want to hear or not, whether it be the other person on the end of it saying, actually, I did like you, but I was never wanting a relationship. I'm sorry I led you on for so long. Like, you were just a rebound from my previous relationship. Whatever it is, I'm just making this up off the top of my head. Sometimes those conversations won't be had. Sometimes people just can't even know how they're feeling and they can't express it to you. And then sometimes people are just afraid to be honest because they don't know how the other person will react. And I'm just a huge advocate on just sitting down and talking about things and like whether it hurts or not, just because that is closure at the end of the day. If someone just sat down and was like, here's what it is, then that other person is no longer having these quote unquote delusions and whatnot. So love the song. Definitely check it out. Definitely more songs on the album that I love. He's obviously a musical genius, but I digress. We will move on to what I've been binge watching on the TV. So I have been watching a few different shows. Like obviously I have my trash reality shows that I love. Vanderpump Rules, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, all those, love it. I don't care what anyone says. I love it. Real Housewives. Now The Valley. The Valley's a good one. But like actual TV shows that I've been watching on Hulu, there's a new show called We Are the Lucky Ones. I will say this one is a hard watch, but honestly a necessary watch. It's about Jews during the Holocaust, but it's a little bit from a slightly different perspective. It was about the Jews and like the ones that did not go to concentration camps. Like I know we see a lot of movies about concentration camps and things like that, but this one was more from their perspective of like how they were ripped away from their family, how going inside the ghettos that they lived in and how like they went from like being very rich in the city to being very poor and how they were starved. And just it's a very emotionally charged show. It's very well written, very well acted in, produced. I highly recommend it. I will just say it is a very hard watch but I mean, it's history. It happened and they're doing a very good job with it. And I think it's a very necessary watch. So just be prepared to cry. I think I have cried every episode watching this show, but it is a good one. It is on Hulu. And then 2 Apple TV shows that I've been watching. Just finished up Shrinking on Apple TV, which was a pretty good comedy to watch. It's about, not to give too much away, but it's about this dad who's a psychiatrist and then something happens within their household. I won't say what it was, but he ends up raising his teenage daughter alone. And it's just almost a very relatable episode, but it's just funny because he's a psychiatrist, and like the things like how he's trying to teach his teenager and stuff like that. It's pretty funny, but obviously it has Jason Segel and Harrison Ford in it. So if you're looking for something that can just make you feel relatable or have a good laugh, that one I highly recommend. And then the other show that I've currently been watching or binging is The Morning Show. I'll be honest, it was not what I expected. I was expecting it to be more of a comedy. I'm unsure why I had that expectation. I just thought it was going to be a comedy. I don't know. But it is, if you are watching it or if you haven't watched it, it is more of a serious show. And I also didn't realize that it was loosely written around the Today Show with stuff that happened in the Today Show. Obviously, there's some fiction thrown in there to make it more entertaining. And I was very unsure how I felt about it. Like, I kept watching it, so it was good enough for me to keep watching, but I was like, I just still don't know how I feel about it. But now that I'm on season 3, which is the current season, it's definitely growing on me. It's a little slow at the beginning. It's somewhat dark, honestly, but it's actually really good because it does hit a lot of points that are going on in the world, and it does do a good depiction of that. I mean, but how could it not be good with a cast like Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, and Steve Carell? I mean, you got top-notch actors and actresses there. Apple TV just be putting out them bangers as well, so who knows? I'm sure I will need some recommendations from you guys soon once these shows are over, because y'all know how summer is. It's like all the good shows just go away and you're set with nothing to watch. Likely because people are trying to encourage you to get off your couch and go into these streets and socialize. But I don't want to. Not me. No, I'm just kidding. Eventually I will. Me and my friend Erica said that we were going to be out this summer. We're going to try to go out and do other things and just like put ourselves out there. So that'll be fun to talk about on the podcast as always. I need to get Erica on the podcast anyway. She's funny as hell and she's got great advice. So maybe I should schedule an interview with her as well. But I really do appreciate y'all listening to me babble per usual. I do have some good interviews coming up soon. I have Dr. Jessica from Cove Chiropractic. Olivia will be back on with Ashley soon. So we will be talking about makeup and skin and all the things that they have going on. And then Summer and Jenna are going to come on and talk about extensions and scalp health. So 3 good interviews coming up, just trying to lock in some dates between their schedules and my schedules, but should be releasing around May. So be on the lookout for those. Cannot wait to interview those bombshells of some females. Also, I know like last week I mentioned doing like some Take Me Back Tuesday episodes, and that was supposed to be this week. So in the next couple of weeks, depending what happens in my life, or if there's something, like I said, if there's something that I just feel like I really just want to get on the mic and talk about, then I will. If not, I'm going to do some Take Me Back Tuesday episodes on some really good interviews that you may have already listened to, or maybe they got missed that I just want to push forward into the world because they deserve to be heard. It all just depends. So we will see, guys, on where that goes. But again, thank you for listening as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and rate the podcast. That's the only way that it gets shared into the world. But yeah, until next time, guys. Bye.